Modern theories of leadership. The various theories of leadership have been developed by many management theorists to explain the attributes which contribute to the making of a successful leader. So let us discuss three important theories of leadership. So first one is trait theory. Trait theory, it tries to explain the qualities possessed by a person, how it will help him to become a good leader. The trait leadership theory believes that people are either born or made with certain qualities that will make them excel in leadership roles. So we'll see the various traits of successful leaders. First one, that is inborn qualities. These are the qualities possessed by a leader which are inherent from his parents or from forefathers. That means these are the qualities of a leader which he acquires by birth. The following are the inborn qualities of a leader. Impressive personality. A leader should have charming and cheerful personality, and he should have good health, good temperament, emotional balance, self-confidence, honesty, creativity, etc. So these characteristics are the basic qualities that helps him to get respect from his followers. Intelligence. A leader must have high degree of intelligence to think scientifically, analyze and interpret clearly the business problems. He must have the creativity and ability to work hard and to take risks. So these are the inborn qualities that are acquired by birth. Then managerial qualities. These are the qualities which can be developed by a leader through proper training and experience. That's why it is said that true leaders are not born but made. Given an opportunity, it is certainly possible to bring out the best in a person and convert him to a successful leader through proper training. The following are the various managerial qualities to be acquired by a leader if he wants to be a dynamic leader. That is, communication skills. Communication skills are considered to be very vital for effective leadership. He must possess this essential skill in order to be clear, effective, and influential in stimulating interest in subordinates for translating their potential into reality. Leaders with excellent communication skills are viewed as being more capable and acceptable by their subordinates. Flexibility. A good leader should never impose his decisions on his subordinates. He should always try to value their opinions and viewpoints. He should never be rigid and rule minded in his approach. Flexibility and open-mindedness earn him more respect from his subordinates. Technical knowledge. A leader should be very well conversant with the technical details of the activities of the organization. He must be technically and professionally competent person to deal with different issues concerning the organization. Organizing ability. A good leader is one who possesses the capabilities to bring all the factors of production such as men, machines, materials and money and uses them in the most profitable manner. This organizing ability would pave the way for optimum utilization of available resources in the organization to derive the maximum benefits. Ability to motivate. Leadership is basically concerned with managing people. An effective leader should have the empathetic. He should have empathetic. That means ability to understand the feelings of others. Empathetic means ability to understand the feelings of others. So, he should understand the feelings, emotions and problems of subordinates. He should have a good grasp of those aspects which inspire and motivate subordinates for a high level performance. Ability to take right decisions. A successful leader always understand the various problems quickly, and he makes a balanced or sound decision in the best interest of the organization so that he is able to take right decision at a right time. Responsibility. A powerful leader should know how to use power and authority appropriately to complete the target or task assigned to him with the cooperation of his team members. Ultimately, the leader himself is responsible for the team's performance. He should be ready to take personal responsibility for failure, and he should never blame his subordinates if his team is unable to succeed. Honesty. One of the leadership qualities that defines a good leader is honesty. Without honesty, a leader cannot lead his subordinates with integrity. He should never have the intention to deceive either his subordinates or great leaders always stick to their values and core beliefs, and they do know that without practicing ethics they could not survive. Such a leader also sets an example to inspire his subordinates in the organization. Delegation. It is important for a good leader to focus on key responsibilities and to delegate the rest to his subordinates. Delegation of authority is nothing but empowering the subordinates to complete the task assigned to them. Therefore, a leader should know how, how to delegate the authority, supervise the work of the subordinates after the assignment. Innovation. Innovation is very important for the firm's survival and helps it to remain competitive in changing markets. In the fast changing world, a leader has to be highly creative and innovative. He must bring new ideas and turn those innovative ideas and goals into reality. An intelligent leader can apply innovation to product for renewal or for designing new processing technologies, etc. Great leaders always stick to their values and core beliefs, and they do know that without practicing ethics they could not survive. Such a leader also sets an example to inspire his subordinates in the organization. Delegation. It is important for a good leader to focus on key response. Second theory is situational theory. So let's see the introduction. This theory was developed by Kenneth Blanchard and Paul Hussey. The theory was first introduced in 1969, and this theory was known as life cycle theory of leadership. Situational leadership refers to when the leader or manager of an organization must adjust his style to fit the development level of the followers he is trying to influence. That means if leader wants to influence his followers or he wants to raise the development level of his followers, so he has to fit his style to the development level of his subordinates, or he has to change his leadership style according to the situation or according to the maturity level of subordinates or followers. So he has to change his leadership style, or he has to see how to deal with his followers according to the knowledge level or maturity level of followers. So with the help of skill and knowledge, leader will learn to know, or the leader will learn to deal with the situation. So this is a diagram of life cycle theory of leadership. As you can see that there is S1, S2, S3, S4, that is a supporting behavior, and below that there is a directive behavior, and it is represented as D1, D3, D1, D2, D3 and D4. So let's see this. It is the supporting behavior. So S1, that is the leader who more believe in telling. They are highly directive, they give direction and command, they are low supportive, they are also known as directing style as they just give direction. Then second, that is S2, it is known as selling approach. It is known as selling type of leadership. They give direction, along with that they are highly supportive. They believe if more support is given to employees or followers, they may work more, and for their motivation supporting is necessary. They also known as coaching approach. We see that in a coaching they solve our queries or questions or problems. So that's why it is known as coaching approach. Then third one, it is S3. It is high supportive and low directive, and it is also known as supportive approach. And it is known as participating leader, as they are highly supportive and low directive. And they are known as supporting approach, as they believe that if they support their employees even in their bad time, employees will be motivated and they work more, and they try to correct their mistake. That is, employees or followers will try to correct their employees will try to correct their mistakes, so they participate in the problem and find solution for their problem. Then fourth one, that is S4. uh, that is low supportive and low directive, and it is also known as delegating approach. So observing leader, they won't direct and support. They are known as low supportive and low directive approach, and also known as delegating approach. Delegating means they put all the responsibility on their followers, and they won't even support and not even direct. They won't tell how to work with employees, or they won't tell employees that how to work. If followers commit any mistake, they won't help them to correct it, and they just observe them from far. So they don't help them in any problem. Then we'll see the development levels directing behavior. First one, D1, low in competence and high in commitment. That means they are highly committed in their work, but they are low competitive. They won't prefer competition, and they want to be their line clear, and they should be no competitor. Then second, that is D2, having some competence and low in commitment. They have some competence, but they are low in their commitment. If they promise for anything, they will not fulfill easily. So they are not committed for their promise. But they are having some level of competence. Then third, high competence but may lack in commitment. They are more competent, but they may lack in commitment. They know how to face competition, or how to face competitor, and how to beat them and win them, but they lack in their commitment. Then fourth one is D4. um, High competence and high commitment. They know how to face the competition, and they fulfill their commitment quickly. So they are highly competent, and also at the same time they are highly committed towards their work. The third leadership theory is behavioral theories. In this theory, we'll study about the behavior of leader and how a particular leader behaves in leadership. Behavioral theory focus on the effectiveness of the leader to his behavior in motivating the subordinates than to his personality traits. This theory emphasizes on studying behavior of leader and its effects on performance and satisfaction of subordinates. Leader gives importance to either employees or tasks. If he given importance to employees, then he is giving importance to maintaining healthy, cordial, and sustainable relationship with employees or subordinates. Or if he gives importance to the task, then that is called task oriented leadership. In case of employee oriented leadership, that is the first one, priority is given to the employees. And in the second type, that is task oriented leadership importance is given to the job completed by the subordinates. According to this theory, employee centered leadership results with quality performance of the subordinates, and in case of task oriented leadership, there would be lower productivity since subordinates get frustrated with the attitude of their leader. So, let's see the behavioral models of leadership, that is, Ohio State University Leadership Studies. Researchers at Ohio State University have identified the following two dimensions of leadership, that is, initiating structure. Initiating structure implies the leader's behavior on the division of work among the subordinates in a systematic way and proper supervision of their task. That means it says about the procedure followed in organization. If an employee of organization, if he wants to give any suggestion to his officer, then he has to communicate that suggestion to the officer at the higher level next to him, and that officer will communicate that information to the higher authority. That means there should be a procedure in communication of what message. Similarly, when a task is given to complete, that time employee has to follow the procedure to complete that task. So he is not supposed to omit any of the procedure while doing the job, while doing or while completing that task. So he has to follow or he has to complete the task given by following the procedure prescribed by the organization. Then second dimension is consideration. So it is related to employees, that is creation of friendly relation and building trust among employees. In case of initiating structure, here importance is given to production. So production should be done by following the procedure mentioned, and in case of second dimension, that is consideration, importance is given to employees, that is creating a trust or creating a healthy environment or a friendly relation among employees. Then second model of leadership is Michigan study. Researchers at Michigan University have identified two different dimensions of leadership, that is called as production centered and employee centered. In case of production centered leadership, it rotates around the setting a standard for work and treating employees as the machines. The subordinates work under the fear of punishment for poor performance. Quality and quantity of work receive greater priority. And in case of employee centered leadership, the leader develops a very healthy relationship with his employees and inspires them for high performance through positive motivation. The protection of the interest of employees is given top priority by the leader. So you can observe here in both the model says the same thing. In the first model, that is Ohio State University, their two dimensions are initiating structure. So there should be a procedure for completing a task, but importance is given for what? For production. Here also, first dimension is of production centered, same meaning it gives. And second, in case of Ohio State University, where that is considerations, where consideration or importance is given to employees are given importance for creating a friendly relations among themselves. And here in case of Michigan studies, employee centered, employees are given importance, that is treating employees as asset for the organization and protecting the interest of the employees are given priority. So like that, both the study that says the same thing. Coming to the criticism, so here in case of leadership, there are many aspects in leadership, but only two aspects of leaderships are given importance or it is considered here. So that is only the criticisms. There are many aspects in leadership, but only two aspects of leaderships are considered in behavioral theory. Thank you.